Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today we're jumping right into Road to Ranked. In the last episode, we used a really fun team featuring Safety Goggles, Naganadel, AV Tsareena, and Classic Tornadus and Kyogre. So details for the team, rental, pace, and creator, all linked in the description below. And yeah, let's just jump right into today's episode. For the first game, we're up against a Calyrex Shadow Rider team. There's a Stakataka, so that reminds me a lot of Ryota Otsubo's team, but then Incineroar, Urshifu, Entei, and then Whimsicott. So Tsareena here has payback. That's going to be pretty valuable into Calyrex. I don't really love Naganadel. Kyogre is obviously quite good with Water Spout. Whimsicott Calyrex is the lead I kind of anticipate for my opponent. So I like Tsareena. Tsareena can triple axle and payback. Honestly, Incineroar plus Tsareena is pretty interesting to me. I guess the main problem I have with that is if they lead Entei, because I can't fake out Entei, and Entei would crush Tsareena. So maybe it's Tornadus, Tsareena, Kyogre. I don't think I'm going to bring Naganadel on this one. Incineroar seems pretty intuitive, mainly for its counter into Calyrex, but honestly, Regieleki does really good damage with Thunder in this matchup, so I'm going to try that out. We didn't really get to feature Regieleki too much, I feel like, in the last episode with this team, so we'll see how things go. But thanks so much, as always, for watching Road to Ranked. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, we've been playing Series 10 officially for a couple weeks now. I'm curious what you think the toughest thing about the format is. Is it the lack of Dynamax, adjusting to it? Is it, just the inclusion of a lot of these Pokemon that you haven't seen before or haven't really used before? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. It's going to be Whimsicott and Urshifu as the lead. I'm okay with this. Just confirming Urshifu's typing. Just after that last episode, when we had Lunala and I got hit by that wicked blow, gotta learn my lesson. Only one of these is going to be sashed. Trading Tailwinds is pretty likely. The question is, do I want to Icy Wind first to stagger my Tailwind by a turn? But I do risk my opponent Moonblasting and Wicked Blowing into Tornadus, so I think it's... I can't guarantee that I'll have Tornadus out on the field going into the next turn. Okay, so we just trade Tailwinds, but that's fine. Because Tsareena should survive a Wicked Blow. Triple Axel should KO Whimsicott. And then I can just Icy Wind. Oh, unless Close Combat one-shots us? Okay, nice. Yeah, this is perfect. Now I can just Icy Wind. That breaks the Sash potentially on Urshifu if that's what they're running. And, well, first of all, we're going to need to hit the Triple Axels. That's one thing that's really big with Tsareena. Okay, that's 2 hits. Nice. We get all 3 hits. Beautiful. And the thing about Triple Axel is just, the ability to basically bypass Focus Sash, which is really nice. So, I don't know if I love my Tailwind decision there, but like I said, things would be pretty bad if I just Icy Winded and my opponent went Moonblast, Wicked Blow into Tornadus. So I'd rather just guarantee that I have Tailwind up right now. Because we have ability... the only thing is, do I want to consider switching out Tsareena here? But like, I think Icy Winding is fine. Yeah, I'm down to just... I don't think I'll get the payback off, but you can't pick up a double KO right now if you're my opponent. Well, you can if you Wicked Blow into Tornadus, but then I will drop your Calyrex's speed, meaning Regieleki and Kyogre will just outspeed. They forget about Queenly Majesty. Wow. Okay. Well, that's nice. Is it nice, actually? It denies me a free switch-in into what I want. But Kyogre just can come in now and click Water Spout, so I think it's still fine. Okay, look at a Grimnade boost. I would have preferred them to actually pick up the KO there, because then Regieleki and Kyogre can just both come out and put in so much work at that point in the game. So, that's kind of funny. Either way now, with the speed drop on Calyrex, if you're my opponent, you more or less feel pressure to switch it out. This is why Icy Wind is so nice, by the way, because it's like, even if we match Tailwinds, well, I can just drop your speed further, and I'll be ahead. But this is where I was saying, like, maybe it was smarter to actually stagger my Tailwind by a turn as well. I don't know if we need it, though. They don't have any electric resist at this point in the game. Or water resists. So this is... Well, Urshifu's a water resist, but Water Spout here is really free. And now I'm really glad we have a Regieleki in the back. Like, I think we could just Water Spout and Hurricane in this position. They probably have to protect the Calyrex. And then, I guess, I mean, you can protect an Aqua Jet, but then I just get a Lecky, and then I just go Electro Web Water Spout. So the main thing here is that we have the typing advantage, and what I mean by that is that, like, my opponent struggles to resist my attacks. So it's really easy for Kyogre to come out and just launch Water Spout after Water Spout after Water Spout. The key thing is that we have to make sure we outspeed our opponent's Calyrex. After the speed drop, we should. So, pretty good position for us. Yep, Calyrex goes for the Protect. Protect Aqua Jet is the play that makes the most sense here, but that's fine, right? No, they don't even go for it. That's interesting. Although, I suppose, now if you have Incineroar in the back, you do get a free switch into it. But I already outspeed the Calyrex at this point, and since our Tailwinds are equalized right now, even if you have Incineroar, I can just protect the Kyogre Hurricane. So, I feel pretty good about our positioning. I mean, had they not misplayed and went for Surging Strikes instead... Oh, it's Stakataka. Okay. Well, Stakataka typically implies Wide Guard. They have two plays here. One is just the hope that I don't have Scald and just go Wide Guard plus Astral Barrage. The second is to go for a double Protect and actually set up Trick Room. I think I am just going to Scald into Calyrex. I'll double up into it because the Stakataka isn't beating Kyogre. Yep, they Wide Guard, okay. I figured that's what they were going to go for, but I was very nervous about, like, the double Protect Wing Con into Trick Room, but I feel like that's... I was going to say it's risky, but both of those plays are pretty risky at this point in the game. So, the key thing when you're using Kyogre is just to be aware of when potential Wide Guards may come out. So there's some light. You see it's coming in from the shades. Tailwind Peter's out, but Kyogre wins now. So the main thing in a matchup like this is exposing my opponent's lack of resistances, right? Their Kyogre matchup is pretty subpar, to be honest. The Whimsicott Urshifu lead was really interesting. I'm guessing what they were trying to do with that is just like set up Tailwind, deal a large amount of damage to Kyogre early on, so then Calyrex can come out and just finish it off with an Astral Barrage. But Tsareena as a lead felt really nice in this game because of the Assault Vest and our Dark type attack. We can actually deal damage into Calyrex and survive like a Helping Hand Astral Barrage from that as well. So the main thing about playing around with Kyogre is, yeah, regardless of whether you're the Scarf or the Mystic Water or Sea Instance variant, just don't fall into the trap of attacking into a potential Wide Guard. Recognize the Pokemon that will carry it frequently, whether it be Mienshao, Stakataka, Hitmontop, for example. And basically when I see those Pokemon, I assume they're going to click Wide Guard for the turn until otherwise, right? Even if they're not actually carrying it, it's just better to assume that they are going to use it, because losing a turn with your restricted Pokemon and getting no damage off is such a big deal. And Scald does a ton of damage, right? Especially when you have the item on Kyogre here as well. So you just don't want to waste any turns with Kyogre, because each attack just does so much. And that can really be said for any restricted Pokemon, but Kyogre especially, just because it doesn't even require any turns to set up, right? It just goes for damage right away. So, yeah. And this should be a fun one. We're actually up against Santi's Kyogre team here, it looks like. Okay. So here's what's a really big deal. Aleki... Yeah, are we max speed here? We are. We outspeed Scarf Ogre with Aleki. Now this is interesting, because when I was using Santi's team, it was like I would normally try to lead like Tornadus Tsareena or Tornadus Weavile just to cover for Aleki. Anadel's really interesting too. But they've got Weavile, which I want to show respect to. I think I want to go Tornadus, Aleki, Tsareena, Kyogre. Because what I can do potentially... Or maybe it's just Torn Kyogre. No, but if I go Torn Ogre and they go... Sorry, if I go Aleki Kyogre and they go Torn Ogre, that's really bad for us, right? Okay. I'm down to try this out. It is a weird one, because Incineroar and Naganadel both are really cool in this matchup as well, right? Naganadel resists Kyogre's attacks. Can Sludge Bomb both Rillaboom and Tsareena. I don't love bringing Incineroar, despite it being really good into Weavile, Rillaboom, and Aleki, or sorry, and Tsareena. So yeah, I mean, and Santi's team is just so well composed, and I think the double triple Axle threat is really scary. Just so much consistent damage, and with Wildlands on Weavile, even tougher to deal with. But I think Aleki does make our matchup a little bit easier here. Weavile plus Rillaboom. The thing about this lead turn 1 is whether or not I want to risk really anything. Also, Weavile has Feint, so like they could Feint and Grassy Glide turn 1 onto Alecki, but what I can do is switch Tornadus out into Tsareena. Like I can Thunder here, and if Thunder connects on Weavile, we are actually in such a good position. So the question is whether or not I want to take a 70% chance on turn 1 of the game. This lead is not amazing for us, so it honestly might have to be the play. Of course, I could switch out into Kyogre here, but then I might just get hit by Fake Out or Grassy Glide. Tsareena prevents them from really doing too much, so unless Volt Switch just KOs Weavile. If it doesn't though, and Weavile just hits Tsareena with the triple axle, it's really bad, right? I hate risking it on a 70% chance on turn 1, but I think it puts us in an amazing position if we hit it, so I'm gonna go for it. But I think if we miss, we might just lose the game, to be honest. Well, it depends if they try to go for prio attacks here, not expecting Tsareena. See. Okay, they don't, but Thunder, very fortunately for us, connects. Okay. That's a big knockout to get, because that is the biggest threat to our Tsareena on the field. They smartly enough didn't go for any priority there, by the way. Gonna be knockoff into Alecki. Okay. Knockoff is scary, but that's fine because it doesn't KO us. But the thing is, I think I got outled on turn 1, so I didn't have a play that was 100% safe. Unless Volt Switch is a KO there, then that obviously would have been better to go for, but I wasn't sure it was a knockout there. So it's kind of an awkward spot to be in right now if you're Santi, right? It's like, if you bring Kyogre, well, Alecki's just gonna outspeed you, and I know you're Scarfed. Or for Santi's team, not for Santi. Then that's going to be Urshifu. Okay, Urshifu can protect here, right? I'd be shocked if it didn't protect, and we should conserve Alecki as best as we can. They could close combat and U-turn here, which would be pretty interesting. I've got Tornadus, so I'll get speed control, but Rillaboom is obviously a huge threat to our team. The play I'd lean towards making here is... Is it worth it to Volt Switch here if they KO our Alecki? It might be, honestly. Because then I get a free switch in. And I think there's also a decent chance Urshifu doesn't protect here. Okay, they do go for it, but that's fine. Because the thing is, I'll have the speed control in this game. Okay, they actually U-turn out into Alecki. Now I get Tornadus in for free. And I U-turn out into the Rillaboom slot. I was pretty close to Volt Switching into Rillaboom, but I just didn't want my opponent to close combat and U-turn into Tsareena. Without taking any damage on Urshifu. Had I conserved Alecki, we probably just would have been in a really good spot here, but I still don't mind our position too much, because we've conserved this AV Tsareena, which is obviously very good into Kyogre. Okay. I can bring out Tornadus now. This is gonna be close. I think we go Tornadus Kyogre. The Tsareena is really good offensively in this late game into my opponent's comp. If I go Tornadus Tsareena, they might still outspeed us, which is part of the problem, and I don't want Tsareena to take damage until I can damage my opponent more. But the Urshifu Protect was so obvious there. Maybe I should have just got into it. Okay, here I'm willing to just Tailwind and Spout, I think. The key thing here is you can't pick up a double knockout, and by conserving my Tsareena will have super effective damage into everything on my opponent's side of the field in this endgame. And since Urshifu protected, we're guaranteed a really big hit into it. Now, Water Spot's not going to KO, but it'll do over 50% for sure. So it'll be a really close endgame, but the upside is... Oh, that's an interesting decision. They switch out. Okay. I think that works for me. I mean, that it's going to imply a Surging Strikes. I could have gone Icy Wind, Water Spout. No, that wouldn't have KO'd Urshifu anyway. So, fine. huge damage on Urshifu. Oh my goodness. Even with the resistance, it's almost a KO. That's wild. Key thing here is that we get Tailwind up now. So they'll KO Tornadus, but that's fine. We get to switch it into Tsareena now, and we have the speed advantage. And they don't have Protect on either Rillaboom or the Kyogre, which we can leverage to our advantage. And now the key thing is I block all priority with Tsareena. That's why it was so important to conserve Tsareena. And when I was using Santi's team, you may remember I struggled against the Tornadus, Alecki, Tsareena. That game, they didn't actually even bring the restricted Pokemon, if I remember correctly. But yeah. Now the main question I'm trying to ask myself is how can I win this game without having to rely on any RNG? Like, do I have a 100% safe win con here? Water Spout into U-turn should be enough to KO the Rillaboom and is the way to not rely on missing any attacks here. We're 115, so we hit 230 speed. 230, meaning we should outspeed... Oh no, we don't outspeed Scarf Ogre, do we? But that's fine. We don't need to, right? Okay. I think U-turn and just Spout here is fine. Yep. Urshifu detects, that's expected. The key thing here is that their Kyogre is going to be choice locked. You can't lock yourself into an attack that beats both my Tsareena and my Kyogre. Cool. U-turn should finish off Rillaboom from this range. Tsareena was the main bring here, as well as Alecki, because both of those are actually incredible into Kyogre offensively. So, yeah, if your team is like looking for answers against Kyogre, I think both are strong considerations. And Alecki is on almost every team, right? That's why it can still be pretty tough to play against. Like, in using this team, have really struggled against Zacian teams with Focus Sash Alecki. Actually been like a really, really big pain to deal with. So, let's see. We still have 2 turns of Tailwind. Maybe their Kyogre outspeeds us, but we're going to win the 1v1 at this point. I'm fine just going for a Power Whip and Water Spout here. Even if we miss, I don't think it makes a difference. And we get such little damage from all our other attacks anyway, so, wow. A key thing here was just maintaining speed control, right? They did not go with that Tornadus. Turn 1 was pretty risky on my end, but it was like a 70% chance to just have an amazing start to the game. And Tsareena is faster than Kyogre, okay. Why did I think... Wait, max speed Kyogre hits what, 156? So half of that is 78? 234? And Kyogre... I thought Tsareena was... What was Tsareena? Was it 115? I mean, this is Santi's team, right? Oh, it wasn't max speed. Wait, is this not Santi's? Oh. I mean, these are different OTs. Yeah, okay, so the Kyogre has 150 speed here. Was Santi's not max speed? I thought his was. But this would explain it. Because if you're max speed Kyogre, you should outspeed me. But it's not max speed in terms of EV investments. But this isn't any different from Santi's team in terms of Pokemon, right? So I thought Santi's was max speed for some reason, but I guess I'm wrong. So I gotta double check the spread there. I'm really curious actually, so I'm gonna pull it up real quick. And yeah, no, this is just like someone recreated Santi's team, but I think everything is basically the same. And yeah, it turns out it is 212 speed EVs on Kyogre. So our Tsareena, with our speed investment, was actually fast enough to outspeed the Kyogre, which was really cool. But that's a really interesting demonstration of how like a raid mirror can look, right? Where we have advantages because of our Tsareena and our Alecki. And the main thing is that the Tsareena and Alren was just really good in making their Rillaboom and Weavile relatively useless. Okay, it's hard Trick Room for the next game here. This is going to be difficult because I don't think I can deny them Trick Room. If you want to set up Trick Room, what do you do if you're my opponent, actually? It would be assuming you're... Focus Sash. It would be Stack or Indeedee. No, Indeedee plus Hatterene, and then you swap Indeedee out into Torkoal turn 1, perhaps. I want to go Kyogre or Regieleki. This is just two Pokemon with, you know, spread type attacks, so I can just go Electro Web Water Spout to ignore your redirection. Naganadel and Incineroar, I think. Tornadus isn't very good here. I don't need Tailwind at all in this game, nor Icy Wind, and Hurricane would be valuable for a little bit of damage, but that's it. Tsareena gets really wrecked by the Calyrex Ice Rider. It also can't protect in the Trick Room matchup. It's not a bad Pokemon to bring in the sense that it can take Spores from Amoonguss, so it's not something I'd completely discount in a best of 3, but it does not make very much sense in a best of 1. And then Naganadel with Goggles here, like, because we have Naganadel and Goggles, I don't need the Tsareena and Amoonguss switch in as much. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, I just needed to double check the math on the numbers there, because, yeah, I was like, hey, if they're max speed Kyogre, they should outspeed. Not that it would make a difference there, because it's choice locked into either Ice Beam or Thunder. Yeah, there's actually no win con there, because even if you Ice Beam, like, crit freeze Tsareena, you can't freeze the Kyogre. Well, you can freeze, but not just Bob with Scald. Okay, it's Calyrex Indeedee. Maybe I should have just let it... I don't know. Well, actually, Incineroar would be able to Flare Blitz, but it doesn't get redirection. I mean, the play here, if you're my opponent, is to switch Indeedee out into Torkoal and Trick Room. Which Water Spell probably still one-shots Torkoal. Okay, your Psychic Seed. Fine. What I want to make is just Water Spout Electro Web. I could Thunder, but if they switch in Torkoal, then it's a coin flip. Okay, but it's not like Electro Web's KOing anyway, right? I guess there's a small chance they do just go Rage Powder, or sorry, Follow Me in Trick Room. Okay, to cover for the Follow Me option, like, they might get ambitious with Follow Me because they have that Psychic Seed. I'm just gonna Electro Web here. But I would switch in Torkoal here if I were my opponent. Anyway, this is the idea behind the Alecki, right? Like, Naganadel can ignore... Oh, okay. This is interesting. Alright, they're just sacking Indeedee turn 1. Not a bad play. Getting rid of redirection in a matchup like this is always good, though. Unless it survives Water Spout here, but I'd be shocked if it did. Okay. Nice. Yeah, that should be okay, alright. I mean, this does grant them a free switch in now. But if you go into Stakataka, I can see Stakataka coming out and then going for a Wide Guard Trick Room. I could just Scald Thunder. That's what I'm going for here. Yep. Maybe Scald and you know what would be cool? Stakataka now hard switching into Torkoal. Like, bluffing Wide Guard and not actually having it. Nicely done! Oh, it's Amoonguss, though. Pretty sure we KO here. I see what they were going for, though. They were bluffing the Wide Guard, and hoping, I guess, I wouldn't double up onto Calyrex. But, yeah, you can see how much of an offensive monster this Regieleki is in this matchup. Nice. Now we Scald. Game's still not over, though. Amoonguss, like, never count Amoonguss and Trick Room Pokemon out, because Stakataka is something that can snowball the game relatively effectively. But obviously, we're in very good shape right now. The question is, do you not have Wide Guard? Not sure. Psychic Terrain is up, so Incineroar is relatively useless for us right now. Got Naganadel in the back. I'm going to Water Spout, given that they didn't Wide Guard last turn. Maybe they have it, but I can also Thunder for a lot of damage on a Stakataka. You can only put one Pokemon to sleep right now. Okay, so they do have Thunder. Or sorry, they do have Wide Guard. Actually, why not just Scald Stack in that position? That's just an insta win for us then, right? I think so. That's not even a critical hit. This is the power of Life Orb Regieleki and on a Rain team. Oh my goodness. Yeah, then I do think... no, Scald is still better in that position, right? Also, the play I made doesn't cover for Stakataka Protect. What's the best play to cover for Stakataka, protect Amoonguss attacking, and covers for for Rage Powder, Trick Room? Because the key thing here is Trick Room doesn't go up. We just don't lose the game. They could have, if they had Protect, I mean, so few Stakatakas carry Protect, to be honest. How much does this do? Like 40, 50 is my guess? A little bit less, actually. Okay. Well, it was around 40. Closer to 40 than 50. And they have Sludge Bomb. Yeah. I mean, that's the downside of running a hard Trick Room team, right? And they didn't bring Torkoal, which is actually really surprising. I think in the matchup for my opponent, you basically have to sacrifice a ton to get Trick Room up. But because they didn't bring Torkoal, it was nearly impossible for them to actually get Trick Room up. We take those. If anything, I think we've run into very favorable matchups in the first couple of games today, so I'll probably play a fourth just because it's been a fast episode. But yeah, when you look at my opponent's team, it's like very hard Trick Room, and so it is really difficult. Like, you could... Yeah, actually, I don't see how they safely set up Trick Room. Like, my lead... They would have had to go Amoonguss to counter Kyogre Rillaboom, but Amoonguss is a little tricky to lead in this matchup, given the Tornadus. Although, actually, why would I bring Tornadus? So, yeah. Like, you could go Amoonguss plus any Trick Room setter, but that's why I went Rillaboom plus Kyogre, because I could Electro and Water Spout. So what you could do is protect your Trick Room setter like they did with Calyrex and then Spore with Amoonguss. So I think Amoonguss Calyrex is probably their best lead to try to have a better way to set up Trick Room on turn. But... yeah, Amoonguss Calyrex actually would have been really interesting, and then you have Torkoal in the back. So the key thing in this matchup is just trying to deny my opponent Trick Room, and the lead matchup worked out really well for us. How do I beat Amoonguss Calyrex? It would have had to be Kyogre plus... actually, I don't even know if that works. I was going to say Kyogre plus the Naganadel, but yeah. I think Amoonguss just would have been a better redirection user for them because it's a lot bulkier relative to the Indeedee, and also pressures with Spore. Spore is the main thing I think my opponent needed to apply pressure on early on that match. So, yeah, but it's been a fast couple ones, so we'll find one last one for the day. And it's going to be... okay. What do we got? Okay, pretty standard Calyrex stuff here. The game 1 approach was fine. What did I go? Horn, Tsareena, Kyogre, Rillaboom. I'm just sad that in 8 games, or 7 games, we didn't run into a single Xerneas. Because that's where the Naganadel really gets to shine. But Naganadel, we brought out a bunch, so I can't even complain. Like, it goes to show that this is a solid Pokemon, even if they don't have, like, a Xern, right? I don't think I really want to bring it out in this one. Yeah, it's okay into Rillaboom, Urshifu, but, like, also just doesn't do that much damage, and these 4, I think, work across the board. Now, the scary thing with Torn Tsareena is Whim Now Ego as a lead from them. But I would actually just Tailwind Triple Axle Whim turn 1. And then into Icy Wind turn 2, probably. Yeah. I'm really glad we get to fully demonstrate Tsarena's value, though, when in using this team. Just because, yeah, like I said, when we're using Santi's team, we didn't get to use Tsareena as much as I would have liked. Mainly because the other Pokemon were just so darn good. But... the reason Tsareena is so helpful in this comp is because we don't have that Choice Scarf on Kyogre. And actually, that's one of the reasons. Two, the Tornadus is less bulky. You know, it's just like max speed, max special attack. So it's valuable to prevent it from getting hit by prio attacks. And then Rillaboom is also obviously really frail, so we don't want it getting hit by like a Grassy Glide or anything. Yeah. I'd love to just get a one-hit KO onto Calyrex with Tsareena. I feel like that's relatively unlikely, but I do think a lot of people kind of underestimate those Dark-type attacks coming out from Tsareena. It would be sick if we could actually get one off here, but let's see. Rillaboom and Whimsicott. I'm my opponent, I'm U-turning into Tsareena. I mean, this isn't bad. Tsarena's Triple Axle obviously is really good. I fear missing Triple Axle. That's the main problem. But... I honestly want to pay back Icy Wind. Because this thing, you turning out into Calyrex, feels fairly likely. Triple Axle is probably the better play, but... I said I really wanted to get a payback off into a Calyrex, and if we actually pull it off, it would just make me so happy. Plus, Triple Axle can miss Whimsicott. So, there's Tailwind. Show me U-turn into Calyrex right now. Actually, U-turn into Now Ego makes a lot of sense, but it is going to be U-turn, okay. Because this makes so much sense as a Calyrex setup, right? It's like, oh, you chip away at the Tsareena, Tsareena going for a strong attack into Rillaboom feels fairly unlikely. Oh. But now Ego coming out here would make a ton of sense, too. They actually bring Urshifu. Shame. But that's okay. You get the Icy Wind off, and now I can Tailwind into Triple Axle. They didn't bring now Ego, that's good to know. Honestly, good on them for playing safe there. I think a lot of players would actually just mindlessly switch into Calyrex there. But that's a play I don't mind, because we don't lose that much. And I stagger my Tailwind by a turn, so it doesn't even work out that poorly for us. Given that they're Water Urshifu, like, kind of down to just Tailwind here. And Power Whip into Urshifu. Okay, they go for the tech. That's fine. I could go for Triple Axle, but, like, you're just going to Moonblast us at best, right? And next turn I can just Hurricane and Triple Axle. And I've staggered Tailwind by a turn, so it's not that bad. Especially with AV on Tsareena. Actually target Torn. Okay. Special attack boost. Their drop is a little unfortunate, but that's fine. I don't know. Urshifu switching out into Rillaboom actually feels like the most likely possibility right now. Tsareena's just so good into all 4 of my opponent's Pokemon. It's an unbelievable matchup for it. Got Kyogre and Alecki in the back, which are great. I'm down to just spam Icy Wind here, and then I'll go for Axel into Whim here. I don't know. Maybe Urshifu stays in, but even if it does, it's fine. I guess if Whimsicott actually has Protect here, which is fairly likely. Alright, they don't go for a Protect though. That's good. The key thing is just conserving Tsareena, making sure that stays relatively healthy. Maybe they launch Close Combat into that slot here. This game is a little frustrating because I probably could have just picked up 2 KOs in 2 turns, and my targeting was a little bit suspect. Triple Axle misses after 1 hit. That's pretty bad. Okay. That actually might mean that Tsareena goes down here then. But that's actually a really big deal. Because it means their Rillaboom can Grassy Glide me now. Yeah, this is actually an inexcusable lap matchup to lose, to be honest, and I mean, if we hit that, I don't think I'm in KO range from close combat, but it's a 72% chance to hit all, or just over 72%. Actually, it is 72, right? Hit all 3. The problem is, okay, yeah, I get Kyogre out, but now they have Rillaboom in the back, and I don't have Tsareena to protect me anymore. So this is a good example of a game in which, like, yeah, we got unlucky, but I didn't need to take unnecessary risks, and by putting myself in a position where I could miss an attack, it obviously really put us in a bad position. Now, the key thing to note is that there are 2 turns of grassy terrain. I am just going to Hurricane and Spout here. If you're my opponent, you probably just double Protect. They don't have Protect on Whimsicott, things get really interesting. Because then I just Protect Tornadus and Kyogre, and then your terrain is over. Then you're forced to bring out Calyrex first, but then that means you have to switch Urshifu out, or Calyrex out, into Rillaboom. So it's still winnable, but Odd and Spore. Oh, wow. That is interesting. I don't think I mind that too much because I have Tailwind up anyway right now. Like, so this is just a double KO. You don't have Tailwind support anymore. And your Rillaboom is going to not have terrain. Not this turn, but next turn. Once again, though, if we lose this, it's completely on me. We absolutely had the matchup. I tried to get a little fancy turn one when I could have just went for Triple Axle into Whimsicott. And I could also could have Power Whipped Urshifu the turn that I Triple Axled into, because I was trying to read into a Rillaboom switch and it didn't work out. So the key thing here is, do you have Substitute on Calyrex? Conspore affecting both is pretty sick here. I'm basically at neutral. I think it's to double protect. Wow, yeah, Conspore changes everything here too, which is wild. This is just poor conservation of Tsareena on my end. And also, man, I don't really regret going for Triple Axle because if they do make the switch into Rillaboom, they're in really bad shape, but yeah. Tsareena supposed to be so good in this matchup. I didn't need to let any RNG happen, and I did. Okay, I'm gonna double protect. This makes me a little bit nervous. If I'm my opponent, I would go fake out sub here. It's like, if they fake out sub, do they just win? Not necessarily, because then terrain expires, so you can't KO Kyogre with Glide. Here's fake out, target Kyogre. Okay, they go for Astral Barrage. That's good, let's say. No one peters out, terrain disappears. I mean, you could just Astral Barrage and Glide now, right? Special attack drop earlier also hurts a fair amount. Yeah, I just really shouldn't have given... Like, I could have also brought Incineroar instead of Alecki. Actually, if we had Incineroar over Alecki, this would have been a done deal, I think. Because then I could have just last turn protected Kyogre and then switched Incin in. So, Alecki was a bad Pokemon choice on my end. I went for Tailwind Scald. I don't think that's the play. Unless they protect Calyrex. Because I don't think Scald's KOing here, right? Even if it were to KO, I don't think Alecki wins the 1v1 against Rillaboom. Yeah, I really just didn't play this well by letting myself get a potential miss from Triple Axel. And maybe, like, even if Axel hits all 3 times, close combat maybe still just knocks out us from that range anyway. So, yeah, it's on me. Unless we can somehow win the 1v1. Do we get a burn here? Okay, we do get a burn, so we'll be Alecki versus Rilla 1v1. But, like, this was also just poor Pokemon selection, right? If I just had Incineroar in the back, this was a guaranteed win. So, an example of a matchup that I didn't execute super well, even though we had the advantage. And part of it was not recognizing that Tsareena was such an important part for a win condition, and that if we lose it, it's harder to dance around. Plus, they had the Cotton Sport, which is really cool. So, well played by my opponent, because I think this is a bad matchup for them, and I think they're going to squeak out with the win. Unless they're not AV Rillaboom, where we get Thunder into Para. But I think the 4 that they bring makes a ton of sense. You could actually make a pretty good argument for now Ego, though. Yeah. I think, realistically, it was better to just go for the Power Whip, because even if you switch out into Rillaboom, Rillaboom doesn't threaten me that much, and then I can just U-turn out the next turn. So, instead of going for Triple Axel and Whimsicott, Power Whip isn't guaranteed to hit, but it's slightly... Oh, that was actually really good damage. Para? Oh, that's because it was a crit. Okay. I was like, yeah, that does that much. Maybe we can actually win this. Win con's still the same. If we get a Thunder Para, we can still potentially win. But like I said, I also could have just brought Incineroar out into this matchup. And like I brought Alecki mainly because I was like, oh, it can just dunk on Calyrex with a Thunder, but... I didn't consider just how tough Rillaboom would be if I lost Tsareena. You do get the Para. But they attacked through. Yeah, they play better than I did in this one. And yeah, it's my fault for missing the Triple Axel. Like, Power Whip, like I said, would have just been better there. And I also just got, like, pretty aggressive in the beginning of the game. But, I don't know, turn 1, that play I think is fine. We don't really lose too much out on it. The main turn was, yeah, the turn Moonblast and CC went up. I could have U-turned out there. I could have just gone for Power Whip onto Urshifu. I think I like Power Whip onto Urshifu more, but U-turn is the play that's like 100% safe. Allows me to pivot out. But then I don't have a safe switch into something that can take close combat and Moonblast, so I think I just like Power Whipping into Urshifu there, because Moonblast from Whimsicott's not going to do too. But I do think, yeah, if we didn't miss the Triple Axels there, Whimsicott feints, then I think we survive close combat with just a Sliver, and that's all I really need in the matchup. But overall, this was one in which, like, I think we had the Pokemon advantage, but our opponent's execution was better. And like I said, this is a great example of a game where I can go back and also be like, oh, I don't think I chose the best 4, right? Incineroar over Alecki would have just won us that end game. And so the question is, okay, then was it worth it to bring Alecki even if my opponent brought other Pokemon? And the answer is not really. It does help a little bit against Nihilego and Incineroar. Thunder does good damage, but Kyogre already destroys both of those. So since they're restricted as, you know, Calyrex, we should just bring as much anti-Calyrex as possible. And Incin would have just given me another answer into the Rillaboom. Whereas as soon as I lost Tsareena, you could see that I really struggled against the Rillaboom. So yeah. Gonna be it for this one though, so thanks so much as always for watching. Thanks to Chulainn for the team. Details in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoy. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all soon. All right.